A content warning for this week's episode. Topics will include drug use and attempted suicide. If you find these topics troubling, we completely understand if you want to skip this week's episode, and we'll see you in the next one.
My name is Peter Davison, I played the Fifth Doctor, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls.
The tangents as we continue all the way to episode 366 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast, and allow me to steal these words from Axl Rose. For myself, as well as for many others, no one has been there more for inspiration than Elton John. Remember, this is Axl Rose, so when we talk of great rock duos like Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, John Lennon and Paul McCartney, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, I like to think of Elton John and Bernie Taupin. Although also tonight, I think that Elton should be honored for his great work and contribution in the fight against AIDS, and also his bravery in exposing all the triumphs and tragedies of his personal life. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like we do every week with a virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Belvedere.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana, the home of Axl Rose, as much as I do not like to claim him.
Yeah. And those are some pretty amazing words coming from Axl Rose.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Who knew? Granted, this was
Yeah.
back in this was back in the 90s. So yeah.
Well, I think they had made peace.
Time hadn't quite gotten to him yet.
Right. I think he and Elton had made peace because I think they were a little bit at odds for a few years, and I think they patched things up at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert. So
yeah.
At least if memory serves correctly. Yeah.
Yes. Well, you know, people have
Haven't
their
gotten
moments.
that far in Elton's biography.
Well, we're gonna
see if there's reference.
We're gonna get there.
We will get there today. Well,
yes.
Well, kind
as
of,
much.
sort of.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Not the actual book. If you want to go through Elton's actual biography, you got to do that on your own.
Well, yes.
Anyway, first we need to do the news. Not a whole lot, actually. Just that, surprisingly enough, this announcement was put out on Ewan McGregor's birthday.
Yep.
So
Happy
birthday, Ewan! Your show's now going to be pushed back 2 days.
But you get 2 episodes.
2 episodes.
That is
for
true.
the premiere.
Yes. So Obi-Wan is now going to be premiering on May 27th, which is a Friday. But we are going to get 2 episodes, kind of like we did with WandaVision, where we got the 2 black and white episodes back to back.
Yeah.
And then it will move to Wednesdays.
Did they? I don't remember reading anything. Did they say why the first they're doing that?
I haven't
Nope.
seen anything. No, it just said, nope, we're moving it back. So maybe they're doing some kind of experiment with scheduling. Who knows?
Yeah, I was trying to think of, was there anything supposed to be released? Maybe like something in 6 weeks. You know, like if maybe they, I don't know.
Well, I mean, they could maybe be polishing special effects or something, or they just, I don't know, because it's only 2 days. So it's like, it's not like, oh, we're delaying it a month because, you know.
Yeah, and it's 2 days going into a major holiday weekend where it's going to be a 3-day weekend for a good number of the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know. Maybe
They're thinking there might be more tushies on couch cushions during that time.
That is possible.
Well, there might be,
like
or there might be
Friday,
less tushies because there will be a lot of people on vacation.
That's what I was thinking.
Because people
vacation traveling or out, or if the weather's nice, they're going to be out on boats with probably no connection to Wi-Fi.
Yeah. I don't know.
The streaming services like actually like does the amount that people watch the first day it's released, does that actually like matter on streaming
They
services?
do look at, the number of viewers that they get in the first few days. And I mean, because
Okay.
you'll see reports of like, shows that starred on Netflix or Disney Plus, whatever, and then like after maybe 1 or 2 episodes have been released, they'll be like, and we've been renewed for a second season. And I mean, Netflix, I'll say this about Netflix, because they'll like order, saying 65 is sort of the base, or the typical amount that they do. So they'll order a whole bunch of episodes, and they'll be like, oh, here's 10 episodes, and that's a season. And then they'll release another 10 or 12, and that's a season, but really they've only ordered one season. So I don't know. It's kind of weird the way streaming stuff works that way. So it could be that they just want to make sure there's more people watching, or they just want to try a Friday thing again, but then why go back to Wednesday? Maybe episode 2 ends on a really bad cliffhanger and they don't want people to have to wait. Although I don't think they're that altruistic, but you never know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Like, these first 2 episodes are going to blow your mind so much that you're going to spend the entire holiday weekend just rewatching them over and over and over.
Maybe. It's like, we're just going to put it on a loop.
Something. I don't know.
And you're going to demand more.
Which we're already getting, so yeah.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe the 27th is someone's birthday, and they're like, no, I want this to premiere on my birthday, so that's what they did.
I don't.
It's pointless to speculate, although it is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Business logic. That's the reason.
Yep.
Yes.
I like
a few of the diehards are crying because it's moved from the 25th, which is the actual anniversary of the first Star Wars movie. It's just like, we're still getting it.
Yeah. It's not the end of the world.
The world, yes.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have been able to watch it on that Wednesday because I'm like always so tired after work. I'm like, I probably would have watched it on Friday anyway. So I was like, okay.
Yeah. And maybe that's the thought is, oh, well, I don't know. Because I keep going back to they're going to put the rest of them on Wednesdays anyway, so
I kind of wish they would have kept it on Friday, because that means the third episode would have been on my birthday. Except 2 days early, but
oh well.
Yeah, oh well.
So there it is.
Well,
Disney Plus totally can't make the line between Wednesday and Fridays with their shows.
maybe. I don't know. Anywhoozles.
So change your calendar ever so slightly.
Yeah. Other than that, that's really it for the news. Although we do have some housekeeping. So we are in a new month.
Yes. So for book club update, there was a tie, so coin flip. The tie was between the Ruby's Curse, the Alex Kingston written book about River Song and an adventure, and the Big Finish audio, The One Doctor. The One Doctor won the coin toss for this month, so next month for May will be the Ruby's Curse. So you have plenty of time to track down both.
There you go.
I remember I've listened to The One Doctor. I remember enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a good one. So you're in for a treat either way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then I asked if I could promote this again, and the ladies were kind enough to say yes. So if you've seen on our Facebook page and Instagram and our Twitter account, so last Tuesday, my cousin Reese Johnson, he was trying to break up a fight between a couple of his employees at his business, and the fight turned violent, and he was killed in the altercation. It's a blow to our family for sure, and we're all kind of we're okay. We're dealing with it as best we can. But he does, his wife and their 6 kids now. Half their kids are in college, but it's like funeral and everything else that goes with it, and just having that support. So my brother and his wife, they have a business that specializes in like hunting and outdoorsy type activities. So they organized a raffle and a Venmo account. So the raffle, they've gotten some donations from some businesses that they have contacts with. And like I said, it's outdoors, hunting, that kind of thing. So I don't know how big of a cross section there's going to be with our listeners here, but you can, if you would like to. I'm not, saying, oh, go do this. But if you have the means and you would like to, there is a donation to help out the family. It's just a Venmo account. It's at Reese Johnson Memorial. The link is on our Facebook page, on the post, and all the other places it's been posted. Just anywhere, anything you can donate or share. But yeah, there's and all of the money, every penny is going to his wife Leanna and their kids. And she has direct access to the account, and so she can get what she needs. And so and I was told to pass along, they're grateful for everyone's thoughts and prayers, condolences. Anything you donate is definitely appreciated, and we're just getting through it. I've had some good conversations with my dad. He was really close to his nephew. My dad's family is such that my dad is like, he was the surprise kid later in life after my grandparents thought they were done having kids. So he is so much younger than his siblings. Consequently, he and Reese are like, he's 10 years older than Reese. So it's like they had a really good relationship, when Reese was a little kid, and it continued into adulthood. So it's a bit of a blow, but we have our faith is really getting us through it, and just our family and sticking together. So, but again, we appreciate anything that comes that comes this way, and just again, thank you for all the support and whatever you can do. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them as best I can. I'm not involved too much in the raffle itself. That's my brother is sort of heading that up, because he's, like I said, he's got all the business contacts and things for that. So, but yeah, I just told him, yeah, I'll share it. I'll share it with as many people as I can. So thank you again.
Yeah, and that can be found on our Facebook page and Twitter and Instagram information, all that. So
yes,
easiest way to read it is on Facebook.
That's because that's where I posted it initially, and I did not think of Instagram and all that till Rachel later said I posted it to Instagram. Like, oh duh.
Yeah.
But thank you, Rachel, for doing that. It's been kind of a crazy week. Processing everything, and that this has happened, and everybody deals with it in their own way. And so we have family where we're all trying to kind of come to grips with what's happened, and support each other at the same time. And family history kind of gets brought up in some of these things, and I mean, I'm not going into any details, obviously, but that's my
anybody who's been through any sort of family, situation can probably commiserate.
Yeah. I mean, it was just hard because there was a police investigation, and there were people like sharing because they find the guy and all these things, and I'm just like, what's going on with the kids? Like, one of his sons was with him, but he got away. He's fine physically. I have no idea what's going on emotionally or anything, but I really hope that he's okay. And but like I said, prayers, condolences, everything is appreciated. And thank you to those who have donated from all of us, for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to feedback. So we've got 2 pieces of feedback actually.
Woohoo!
One from Shalane, of course. She says, I hope you girls don't mind. I went back to listen to the episode from last year about the Oscars. That's fine. You can always go back and listen to any of our old episodes.
Yes.
Perfectly fine. You or anybody else that wants to. She was listening about the animated winner and why they do the animated categories, because they do they had to create they had to create a feature length animated category. So we talked about this when we talked about Beauty and the Beast. When Beauty and the Beast got nominated for Best Picture, people were like, oh my goodness, we didn't realize that this could be a thing, that a cartoon could potentially beat out real Hollywood. I'm doing big
cartoons getting the award. My pearls. Let's
heaven forbid.
Yeah.
Right?
So there's always been an animated short category since the very beginning of the Academy Awards. But yeah, once Beauty and the Beast got nominated for Best Picture, they're like, oh well, we can't have this. So there's suddenly a Best Animated Feature Length category. And that's where cartoons go 99.99% of the time, although Toy Story 3 did get nominated for Best Picture as well. So every now and then a cartoon will sneak in there. But
well, I mean, they have the international Best International Film, but Parasite.
Yes,
and
sometimes you can get an animated movie outside of that category too. Sometimes it'll be an animated documentary or an animated foreign film. In this case, I can't think of the name of the movie.
Drive My Car.
No, Flea from this year was nominated for both documentary and animated. Because it was both. So yeah, there's a little crossover there. And then of course, not the song we don't talk about, but definitely sing about, did not get nominated for Best Original Song, but there was a song from Encanto nominated. And usually in the Best Original Songs, a good chunk of the time there is at least one song from an animated film. Not always. And she talks about how the Disney Renaissance, Disney, not just the Disney Renaissance, but Disney has been nominated for Best Original Song quite a number of times, including When You Wish Upon a Star, Beauty and the Beast, A Whole New World. Actually 3 songs from The Lion King, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Actually, one of them won, but there were 3 songs from The Lion King nominated that year. So
I'm surprised they didn't split the vote.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, 3-way tie.
Yeah, it was 3 against 2 others. So majority, I guess.
Odds were in the favor.
Yes.
Yep.
She says her favorite part of this year's Oscars was We Don't Talk About Bruno. Kind of cool that they performed it at the Oscars, even though it wasn't nominated. It's like, yes, just because they wanted something fun and colorful and cheery, and that's exactly what it is. And then it guarantees it got stuck in everybody's head, whether they wanted it or not.
Yeah.
And she said, and then she says, I have seen a little bit of the Little Shop of Horrors movie.
Oh my goodness.
And she's listened to the soundtrack. And she says she was going to go see it at the local theater, but it was sold out. She says, but don't worry, I will watch it.
Well, I have it on DVD, so if you want to borrow it.
Yeah.
I know where you live.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
I would hope so. In this case.
It may be a bit of a drive, but I can get there.
Yeah. Keep the musical education going there, Shalane.
Yes.
And then we got a comment from DJ Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Yep.
Okay, Nick.
Super fun episode. Great job. I do consider myself open-minded and not normal, as I am an alien. My parents have promised me they will eventually take me back to the crash site where my spaceship landed.
No, Nick, they have your pod in their garage under the tractor.
Yeah. It's just like Superman.
Yeah, they're
that
just
big
waiting.
glowing light.
Stay away from any weird green rocks.
Yeah. It says, no surprise, Sonia, his girlfriend, calls me Spaceman, and that's actually part of his username on Skype.
Skype, yep.
So that said, I had zero references when I went to watch Home Team, as I know nothing about American football and only follow football, being Italian, and ice hockey sports-wise. That said, I enjoyed my watch aside from the super long, where I was actually having dinner and had to look away.
Oh, goodness.
That said, love you gals.
Well, if you're ever in the mood for the particulars of American football, and I actually have been slowly kind of getting into hockey, mostly because I've been told hockey fans aren't as snooty as soccer fans here in the States. Because holy crap, and we have a major league soccer team, and
I would say you guys have a soccer team.
We do, and those fans are insufferable. I'm sorry.
We too have a soccer team, but they're not major league; they're minor league. So
yeah, well. I was like,
and I've never been to a game.
There was talk. Well, I mean, the stadium is like down the road from where I live. Yeah. And there, at one point, there was talk of moving them to St. Louis. I'm like, yes, please go. You wouldn't even have to change the initials. But then they won the championship, and I was so salty because the Jazz have never won a championship, even though they came so close. But you interlopers come into my house. And you win it. I'm still salty about that. But I'm
sports ball. Pooey.
Yes.
Yes.
I am. I mean, as disgusted as I am with a lot of pro leagues these days, just some of the shenanigans that go on behind the scenes with ownership and the administration and what have you, which I'm not going to get into. I do enjoy the competition. I do enjoy watching players at the top of their game just doing their thing, and so it's a thing. And so anyway, yeah. But hockey, they seem to have their crap together a little bit better, and we do have a minor league team in
that's because they let all the aggression out on the ice.
Yes, it's like here,
exactly.
Yes, they don't have enough to like go, get in trouble, in their personal life or whatever. So it's intriguing. I don't know what's going on other than they put the little round chunk of rubber into the net. And the goalie, but like,
I mean, that's all you really need to know.
Yeah.
If the little rubber thing goes in the net, you get a point.
You get points. Yep. But ties are kind of over my head. Like, why would you want to tie? And then like the positions, I don't like in basketball and football. I know what the positions do, and I know what basically what's going on. But positions in hockey, I'm like, okay, are you guys drawing up plays, or is it just a free for all? It's still fun to watch, but it's just like,
At least I knew what icing was, because we used to tape when I was younger for the public access. We'd tape the high school hockey games. So I would be in charge of running one of the camcorders. And this was before they had the color viewfinders. This was black and white.
Oh my.
And heaven forbid if the viewfinder had a little black speck. It's just like,
oh no.
Great. Which was the puck?
Oh my god.
I did good.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So there were some good hockey games for high school that I remember.
Yeah, I've been thinking about getting into hockey. Like, it's pretty. We have a couple of teams near me, and I've been like constantly hearing on the radio, like, "Ooh, this is tonight." I'm like, oh, right. And I watch a few, but I'm like Chrissy, like, I have no idea what's going on. Just the puck flying around and getting into the net and occasional fights.
Yeah. The fighting thing. That's my question, Nick. Is like, I know fighting is part of it, but it's almost like it's encouraged. Like in other sports, the players, if they get in fights, like everyone gets in trouble. But if hockey players, they get in the penalty box and that's it. Like there's no fines. There's no like
it's
fights,
like wrestling.
Well,
except in this case,
but
the fights are real.
But in wrestling, like the fight is the point. In hockey, like the fight just kind of seems like a sideshow, and it happens all the time. But it just is like part of the game. Like that's one thing I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, it's kind of like auto racing. You watch it for the wrecks. Hockey, you watch for the fights.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's
you just want to watch things go off the rails every now and then.
Okay, and they just let it happen. It's just kind of an okay thing. Okay, all right. I mean, I will accept that answer. I just wanted to know.
Yep.
Because
here in America, we are simple folk.
Yes.
Like in racing, you just go up and give them a little gentle tire rub, nudge.
Then they get up into the wall.
And take out half of the crew running
half
behind
of the
them.
field. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I saw Cars. I know how this goes.
Yep. Exactly.
And I know which racetrack's the worst one. If you want to watch big wrecks, make sure you watch the Daytona 500.
Or any race at Talladega, actually. Either one of those tracks works.
Yep.
I was a race fan there for a while. Go listen to our Cars episode.
Stick away from the Sonoma races. Those are snooze city. Yeah, I used to be a NASCAR fan. Don't follow too much anymore, but memories.
I'd catch one or two, like when my aunt, because my aunt loves it. But that's another one. I'm like, I'll look at the standings and all that and like see who won, but watching the actual races, unless someone crashes, I'm just kind of like, okay, this isn't they go around and around. It's one of those. It's kind of like baseball. It would probably be more exciting if you're actually in it and not a spectator.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, my dad was a huge NASCAR fan. I'll go out and like read a book while he's watching it, and I'll look up when I feel like a crash. I'm like, this is so wrong, but so like, what's my attention?
Yeah, well, it's like when you're driving and you see the sirens and this is horrible. Like something bad has happened, but you gotta look.
Yeah,
and everyone slows down.
Like who took who out and why?
Yeah,
it's human nature. We're just kind of wired for that.
Yep. Aren't we fun, us Americans? Don't you love us, Nick? Yes, you do.
You adore us. You adore us, my friend.
Well, he did finish his message saying, "Love you, gals." So,
yeah.
Nick, you're good people.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
We'll show you a good time whenever you get to this side of the ocean.
Yep.
All right. Well, speaking of people from his side of the ocean. There's a segue there. I'll find one.
You're good at it too.
I try. So we are going to take this week to give homage to the man, the legend,
had a birthday last week,
who just celebrated the big 7'5".
Holy cow!
Currently,
he looks good for his age.
Trying to finish his retirement tour.
Yep.
After being delayed a couple of years.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Who actually was just in town
under construction
Friday. Yeah. He was just here.
And he was in Milwaukee Saturday.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't know about it. I had to work, and I'm sure if I even tried to get nosebleed tickets, it would have been out of my price range.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure
you probably would have gotten to get. I can't speak. You would have been able to get in as long as the tickets were legit. Unlike this show here, which the gal who does our taxes actually went to the show here.
Oh wow.
So she was talking about that. We talked about that for a few minutes when we went and finished up our taxes today. Yay.
Yay.
But from the time that the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road tour was scheduled for the, I don't even know what the name of our basketball facility is even called now because it's gone through so many names. To me, it's still Conseco.
Just call it what you know.
Yeah, or Banker's Life. It was Conseco when I worked for, when I interned with the Pacers for a semester, and then I went to Banker's Life, and now I don't know what it's called now. Anyways, it's the basketball stadium here in Indianapolis.
I call ours the Delta Center, even though it's been changed a million times, and I don't care. So
yeah,
screw you.
So
I still refer to the Pfizer Center as the Bradley Center because that's what it was when I went to see concerts.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway. From the time that the tour was scheduled, and then of course we had a worldwide pandemic and everything shut down, and then they rescheduled it for last year, thinking, oh yeah, stuff's going to be reopened again, and then stuff didn't happen, and then we had new surges and new variants, so then stuff got canceled again. So this show, it was on its third date. By this point, by the time April 1st rolled around, no fooling. However, our basketball stadium remodeled during the pandemic. Those seats that were part of the floor plan when the tickets were originally sold no longer existed.
There. Oh no!
Crap.
So wait. They remodeled and they have fewer seats?
I don't know if it's so much that the number of seats changed. It's just the orientation of the seats changed significantly enough that some people's tickets, essentially seats were double booked. So there were some people that showed up with a perfectly valid ticket and could not get in because technically either their seat was double booked and the other people had already gotten in, or their seat no longer existed. In some cases.
Ouch.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
No bueno.
So, you would have hoped that they'd have thought of that, but
at least you would have gotten to go and see him, Holly, unlike some people here who thought they were going to have a great Friday night going to see Elton John for the very last time, and no whammies, or in this case, double whammy.
They just got turned away.
They just got turned away and they're offering refunds. So
I would at least let them stand in at least to be able to hear out in the concession area. My goodness, at least give them
I'm sure the fire marshal would have frowned upon that. I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. You just
change the song from Saturday night's all right to fight until Friday.
Yeah, really.
You'd have thought that they would have thought about that, like, oh, wait a minute, we need to redo some of these people's tickets, but I guess not. But,
right.
Geez,
well, they tried, but it just the 1-to-1 it just didn't work. So,
and they couldn't have opened up one of the, the nice seating areas, VIP.
It was booked solid. The show was sold out, so yeah. Gosh, this is Elton John. This is the farewell tour.
True. Yeah. No kidding, but still, there wasn't a spare VIP room somewhere.
Yeah. Like, can I sit on the piano?
Right. Yes.
Holy cow, that is awful. I feel bad for people.
Right? Can we double as security?
Yeah, really. Are his kids here? No. Can I have their seats? Is his husband here? No. Can I have his seat? I saw that after the fact. It was, local news. And I was like, oh, that sucks. So glad I already saw him 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago. It'll be 20 years ago next year. So.
Which album was he touring with?
Actually, it was one of the face-to-face tours with Billy Joel.
Ooh, nice.
which they've done
Both
that
piano
toward
men.
lots of times. So there's been several
Mhm.
iterations. This was the 2002, 2003 iteration, and I saw
Cool.
them, and they came through in 2003. So
Sweet. That
Yeah,
was when the songs
so-
from the West Coast album was out, if
Yep.
memory serves.
So Sir Elton Hercules John,
Mhm.
born Reginald Kenneth Dwight.
Dwight.
I was gonna say, like, his parents really give him the middle name Hercules? Oh, okay. No.
Nope.
Nope.
Elton picked that
No.
one.
No, he purposely chose that name. And you can actually, and there's gonna be like quite a bit in the show notes, but I found somebody in their brilliance, because they realized the power of the internet, scanned, I'm presuming a copy from probably a book, because this does not look like it came out of a newspaper. It looks like it's from a book, and so maybe it's some sort of like book record, so because newspaper can deteriorate a lot faster than newspaper paper. So, but anyway, somebody in their right mind bothered to scan the copy of the page of the London Gazette from the 11th of January 1972 that includes things like engagements and weddings and births and deaths and that sort of thing. And there is a section, and even businesses, there is a section for change of name. And there are several. There were 4 people that had their names changed that were put on in record that day, but the first one listed it, this is 1972, so this is in England, so figure the language. But notice is hereby given that a deed poll dated 8th of December 1971 and enrolled in the Supreme Court of Judicature, I don't know, on the 6th of January 1972. Elton Hercules John of 14 Abbots Drive, Wentworth, Surrey, a British subject, abandoned the surname of Dwight and the Christian names of Reginald Kenneth, dated the 7th of January 1972.
Wow.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's how it works.
That's
how it went down.
It was official.
So
yeah. So but yeah, born in Pinner in the greater London area. So if you've seen the movie Rocketman, as with most bio movies, it is fairly historically accurate. I mean, as far as people and certain events, obviously, unlike something like Bohemian Rhapsody, where all of the music performances are realistic and actually in chronological order, as far as like the songs being written and released and that sort of thing, this takes a very fantastical, way more otherworldly musical way of mixing in some very popular Elton John songs, but the general gist is correct as far as history is concerned. So yeah, his mother and father did not get along. His father was not home very much. That's because he was in the RAF, so that required a lot of travel. So he was, at least as far as his mother was concerned, the marriage between his mother and father, he was an only child. Obviously his father went on to get remarried and have more kids, and he lived with his mother mostly and his grandmother, and his grandmother was the one that really encouraged him to play the piano, learn to play the piano. And he did start out very young playing very complicated classical pieces by ear. So he was born very naturally gifted when it came to music. And he did go to the Royal Academy of Music on a scholarship, and he did okay. Something I think is something we've seen with some other artists that we've talked about. Not the most studious. According to Elton, he said, quote, "I kind of resented going to the academy. I was one of those children who could just about get away without practicing and still scrape through the grades. But he had more fun skipping classes and going and writing the London Underground."
you kind of notice these, musical geniuses, for lack of a better term, like, they don't do school. Like, school is just not their thing. And, being told how to do something, they balk at it. But, let them get on their own, and don't tell them, you have to do it this way or you have to do it that way, and just let them do what they do. And, you get some amazing stuff. It's when they're told, no, you must do it this way. That's when they're like, no, it's that whole kind of sort of rebellious nature of it, which is, you kind of think about, when you go to school and the things that you're going to school to study, and maybe like you pick your hobby, like, oh, I want to learn more about this, but then you start to hate it because you're being forced to do it, or you don't like the way it's being taught, and that kind of thing. So it just fascinates me to hear about all this. Like, yeah,
a certain song title from Goodbye Yellow Brick Road comes to mind.
Yes.
little bar of that song.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just like, look, just sometimes, and I say this as someone who's got a master's degree and did a ton of schooling, sometimes school is overrated. Sometimes if you can just go and learn the stuff on your own, and then you become a genius and you're very successful at it, and people are looking at you like, ooh, I want to be that person. You're like, yeah.
Exactly.
Go do it, kid.
Yeah. Oh, so his of the two between his mother and father, his father was definitely way more strict. He wanted his son to go into a career like being an accountant or banking or something boring like that. Yeah. His mother, while still strict, not quite as strict, and she was the one that helped expose him to what was at the time the hot rock and roll, Elvis, Buddy Holly. In Rocketman they show really young Reggie, as a little kid, and then when you see kind of at the Royal Academy of Music, Reggie, by then he's wearing the Buddy Holly type glasses. Elton John has never needed to wear glasses. He's always worn them as a fashion statement. even as a kid.
Interesting.
He started out with the Buddy Holly type frames because that's what was in style at the time.
You mean the bedazzled with the the jewel frames? Those were just a fashion statement? I'm shocked.
Those are not prescription at all. But and the thing is, he didn't know that those types of things existed until he got to Hollywood. So he got to Hollywood and discovered a specialty glasses shop that started, sold more extreme stuff like that, and it's been a mad obsession ever since. So yeah, and then his parents did get divorced. Then his mother did remarry a guy named Fred. Although he called him Durf, which is Fred backwards. But in Rocketman, he always calls him Dad, and I think that's probably just because if he's called him Durf, people would probably be like, "Oh, is he making fun of him?" Instead of it being like an affectionate nickname. So, and yes, he did live with his mom well into his career. He did not move out until he had 4 albums simultaneously in the American Top 40. So, kids, don't feel bad if you're still living with your parents, even if you do have a lucrative career.
And was Bernie bunking with Elton at that time, or no? I can't remember.
No.
Okay.
They took some artistic license with some of the stuff with Bernie.
Okay.
And also left out some things. But before Bernie was him playing at a local pub at the age of 15. Young Reg Dwight was playing his first gigs on the weekends. And you can go visit that the Northwood Hills pub if you want. The piano there is not the one that a future Elton John played, but it is a location, and right across the street actually is a train stop where Reg would catch a train to go into London to attend the Royal Academy of Music. And then when he and Bernie became friends, that's where they would catch the train. So you could go stand at the same train station stop as Elton John and Bernie Taupin. So. Yeah, and then he ended up dropping out of the academy before taking the final exams. So by then he's in his late teens, early 20s. Had his own group called Bluesology. And they did do some backing for some American soul and R&B musicians, like the Isley Brothers and Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells. I've heard of some of those.
Yes.
Because one of the Bluesology songs that I fell in love with off the To Be Continued box set was Come Back Baby.
And then in 1967, Elton, who he's not legally changed his name yet because that's not until 72, but still, he answered that an advertisement in a British magazine for Liberty Records, and pretty much what happened is the Ray Williams gave him an unopened envelope full of lyrics written by this guy named Bernie Taupin, and Elton wrote the music, sent it to Bernie, and bada bing bada boom, here we are.
History.
Yeah.
Now, little interesting fact, Lady Samantha and Your Song were actually covered by Three Dog Night. And different takes, but kind of interesting. It's like, nice. You hear Elton's and then Three Dogs Night version, like, cool.
Yeah. So and then so that was 67, and about 6 months after he and Bernie met is when he started going by the stage name Elton John, and then, like I said, he legally would change it 5 years ish later. What they show them, working as staff songwriters, and that's what they did, and they were living trying to live together and make ends meet. One of the things that they left out, because they show Eldon kind of in a relationship with their landlady, which was true, and they left it out of the theatrical cut, but if you watch the deleted scenes, they did film it. It just got cut from the movie, but there is a scene, I believe takes place in between Elton and Bernie getting back to the house being drunk, and Elton realizing, I've got to tell her that I'm gay, and we got to break up, and the essentially flash forwarding to the after and her throwing, stuff off the balcony, is the bit in between where he's struggling to come up with the words to tell her. And at one point he becomes so overwhelming that he obviously unsuccessfully tries to commit suicide by sticking his head in the oven.
And that's where the song "Someone Saved My Life Tonight" kind of comes from, if memory serves.
Yes. Well, that's an ode to Linda.
Okay.
Who I think maybe the landlady was maybe sort of based on, to leave the actual Linda out of it. Because Elton was actually engaged to a woman named Linda Woodrow at this same time after he and Bernie had met. Linda was a secretary. And while he and Bernie were actually trying to make ends meet, she was making enough to help keep a roof over their heads and, help the ends meet better. So she helped them keep afloat. And then Elton actually dumped her 2 weeks before their wedding.
Oof.
So, because essentially Bernie was like, dude, you're gay. Why are you marrying a woman? and he's like, oh yeah, I can see how that could be a problem. So he dumped her essentially 2 weeks before they're supposed to get married, lost touch with her for 50 years until 2020, where she reached out to him, to Elton John, for help with assistance with some medical bills. And he totally was like, absolutely. About that. He's like, absolutely positive. It's like, you helped me when I had nothing. And it's like, just because we haven't talked in 50 years does not mean, that I can't, I'm not going to help someone who showed me support when I had, I didn't have 2 pence to rub together.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's nice of him. But yeah, Linda, she is kind of the impetus for Someone Saved My Life Tonight. So, but yeah, he was, if I remember correctly, like he stuck his head in the oven, but like forgot to turn the gas on.
I think so. If from what I can remember reading and him saying, I think that was the case.
Yeah.
Or he didn't have the guts to do it. He was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Probably for the best.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So. And then the 70s is where it came to the US to start doing those shows. And that's where he met John Reed. Kids, with a few exceptions, off the top of my head, like Celine Dion. If you're a musician, don't sleep with your manager.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Not going to end well.
Business and pleasure don't tend to mix well.
No, it's only going to end in tears and lawsuits.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Case in point, Elton John and John Reed. Other case in point, Freddie Mercury and He Who Shall Not Be Named.
Mr. Death on Two Legs.
Yes. Yeah. Again, He Who Shall Not Be Named. I mean, those are two big examples. Funnily enough, for a short time, John Reed managed Queen.
Oh God!
That's why the name sounded familiar. Yes. I was like, I've heard that name before.
He appears as a character in Bohemian Rhapsody, played by a completely different actor. But yeah, as a character, he appears in both movies. So,
oh boy. Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So yeah, John Reed is a whole.
Now, was Reed working with Queen before Elton, or did Reed work with Queen after Elton?
I think it was after. I
think. Jeez. And Freddie and Elton didn't talk? Freddie could have warned him? Stay away from the guy?
At the same time. Hold on. Hold on. Let me get my timeline right. Let's see. 1970, he met Elton. They moved in together, began a romantic relationship as well as a business one. Their personal relationship ended after 5 years, but he remained Elton's manager until 1998. Something Rocketman left out. And but when did he manage Queen? It doesn't say. Oh, between 75 and 78. So it was after he and Elton's romantic relationship had broken up, but he was still Elton's manager. So,
yeah, that's awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Reed does not have the best
track record.
Oof. Yeah, because actually, he and John's professional relationship broke up in 98 after a letter leaked, supposedly written by Reed, detailing Elton's extravagant spending, which he's never been shy about the fact that he loves to shop.
Right.
So, but yeah, there was legal action there. Reed settled out of court by paying Elton £3.4 million. But considering Reed had earned more than £73 million while representing Elton, that was a drop in the bucket. In 74 in New Zealand, he was he threw champagne in the face of a party host and is alleged to have punched a model who came to the party host defense, sending her sprawling to the floor. And then later that same night, he was involved in another altercation with a journalist at a nightclub. He was convicted and sentenced to a month of prison for assault. Yeah.
Sounds like a winner to me.
Yeah, he's
Elton, if your manager gets thrown in after this altercation, I'd be changing members of management
that's him
real
being
quick.
Played by Aidan Gillen in Bohemian Rhapsody, which when you think about it is rather funny that he's played by two different people in two different movies, but both of those people are from Game of Thrones. Because Aidan Gillen played Littlefinger, and then Richard Madden was Robb Stark. So,
oh my!
Anyway.
Well, I mean, no, I mean, you're not really supposed to cheer for anybody in Game of Thrones, are you? Like they all kind of suck, don't they?
Yeah, a little bit. So
yeah,
but yeah, just the fact, because like again, there's the creative liberties that they take with these bio movies, because they show Elton, breaking free from rehab, but Reed is still there, like taunting him psychologically. But according to Elton, they had rather a amicable working relationship once they were no longer together. So again, but that doesn't tell nearly as a compelling story.
No, you got to make it exciting for the movie.
Yeah. Oh, but the 70s, the early 70s were a good time for Elton John, who starts his own artistic career, not just writing music for other people. And Border Song was his first single, and then Your Song was the second single and reached number 7 in the UK singles chart, number 8 in the US, becoming his first hit single as an artist. And took off from there. He did do those shows at the Troubadour, which was rather successful. And it's just this. He was just cranking it out, really.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at in the early 70s,
which had Leave On and Tiny Dancer, and then Honky Chateau.
Yep. Don't Shoot Me, I'm Just a Piano Player.
Yeah, which had Rocketman and Honky Cat. Yeah, so Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player, which is one of my favorite album titles of anyone ever.
Yes.
Which of course produced Crocodile Rock and Daniel. And then Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, which was released in October of 73, which had Benny and the Jets, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Candle in the Wind, Saturday Night It's All Right for Fighting, Funeral for a Friend.
Yep. That was Love Life Bleeding. That was an interesting one, because I can remember sitting in my old junior high school. It was a keyboarding class, and we had our classic rock station on, and the DJs was like, we're playing an Elton John song, and this was when the To Be Continued box set had gone out, so I was in an Elton deep dive, and that long keyboard intro for Funeral for a Friend starts playing. Our teacher's like, I don't know this one. I was like, it's Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding. And and then the lyrics finally kicked in. He's just like, okay, we'll see. And once it was done, the DJ, and I was like, man, you're good. I'm like, I listen. I look at liner notes. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lesser known song, but I mean, it's a good one. I mean,
like, hey, this was in the years before social media and smartphones and stuff. We had to read things like liner notes and shampoo bottles when sitting on the toilet. So
exactly.
Some things you just get into and deep dive and all that.
Okay, so part of this I knew. Part of this I did not. 1974, Elton John collaborates with John Lennon for his cover of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Yes.
Fairly
love that
iconic,
version.
Especially if you've seen the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the movie with the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton. Terrible movie, great soundtrack. They were like, we're just going to take all these songs, all these Beatles songs covered by various artists, and loosely weave together a plot. kind of like Tommy.
Yes,
although
very
Tommy
much so,
has
yes.
even more of a plot. In fact, Tommy will get a mention here shortly.
Yes. Him and those tall boots.
Yeah. So Elton's version of Lucy, and Lucy gets played on the radio like all the time. You hardly ever hear the Beatles version. But that was a B-side to Lennon's One Day at a Time. Went number 1 for 2 weeks in the US. And then Elton John worked with John Lennon on Whatever Gets You Through the Night.
And that's where we get that bet, if I remember correctly.
Which I did not know about. I knew the song because as Chauncey's been getting into, learning more about the Beatles, and I was like, yeah. And, after the Beatles broke up, they didn't really talk to each other. Occasionally one would work with one of the others, like Ringo would appear on, one of John's albums and then one of Paul's albums and George and stuff.
One of George's. Yep.
But then John and Paul did not talk to each other. And then poor George and Ringo were like the two kids stuck between divorced parents. However,
Mom and Dad are at it again.
Yes. However, Mom and Dad would take swipes at each other musically.
Oh boy.
Yes. How can you sleep?
How can you sleep? Whatever gets through the night. All you need to do is read the lyrics and you can figure out exactly what the motivation is there.
You can read between those lines real good.
Yeah.
And all of the music listening public is like, okay, here's the latest in their
because if you don't pay attention to the lyrics, the song is really catchy. It's just real high tempo with boogie woogie, piano, of course, Elton John playing in the background with the saxophone, and it's very very cool, hip, this mid 70s, just kind of jazzy type song. But then when you listen, you pay attention to the lyrics, you're like, oh, somebody's pissed at someone.
Yes.
Who peed in your Cheerios?
And we're trying to put a positive spin on it and not be ominous and have fun dancing around giving you the middle finger.
Because this was only a couple years after the Beatles officially legally
broke up,
had dissolved. So they'd already been broken apart, and Paul was releasing solo works and stuff. But this was towards the end of the Beatles actually legally existing as an entity. But what I did not know is that John Lennon and Elton John had made a bet that if Whatever Gets You Through the Night was a hit, that John Lennon would make an appearance at one of Elton's shows. So he
Madison
did
Square Garden.
at Madison Square Garden. Where they performed those two songs, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Whatever Gets You Through the Night, and then a performance of I Saw Her Standing There. That was John Lennon's last live performance.
Yep.
I did not know that. So, and again, really weird things that I found going through the, doing the internet deep dive. I found a catalog, a PDF version of a auction catalog from I don't know what year this is from, but it's got it's 605 icons of 20th century music auction catalog. This has to have been from a while ago. There's a whole bunch of Elton John stuff in here, among other things, including Elton's jumpsuit that he wore the night John Lennon made that appearance.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Wonder how much it went for.
I don't know. The estimate in the catalog was $25,000 and up. So, but if anybody has any idea how much that actually went for, please let us know. So,
either way, I would have never been able to afford it, even if I was around.
Yeah.
Nah, it's just it's a good trivia thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. though, but I'm not entirely sure what year this auction was because there's dates, but there's no year on it.
That's
So
weird.
I
Was
guess
it
the
a Sotheby's
copyright on the
auction, or-
copyright on the book is 2004. So
Okay. So
Yeah.
early 2000s,
but
maybe.
I don't know if that's when it actually happened. Oh, I guess so. April 17th, 2004 in Dallas, Texas. So there you go.
Well, there you go.
There we go.
So, yeah, but there's all sorts of fascinating things in here, like, you know, like musical instruments, obviously signed,
Mhm.
you know, a drum head signed by Ringo, you know, a piece of paper signed by Andy Gibb from the Bee Gees. So all sorts of wild stuff, but I just think that was really cool. And there's a picture of Elton John wearing the jumpsuit, sitting presumably backstage next to John Lennon.
Neat.
So
Cool.
that was really cool. There's all sorts of Elton John stuff in there that's just wild. Clothing wise, obviously.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, I had no idea that was like John Lennon's like last major live performance was that. So that's really cool.
Mhm.
So 1975 he gets his start on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And to celebrate 5 years since he had first appeared there, Elton played a 2-night 4-show stand at the Troubadour. They kept the shows limited to 500 people per show, which you had to enter a postcard lottery to even try to get tickets. But everyone who attended received a hardbound yearbook of the band's history. So that was kind of cool. I'm sure
nice.
there are people out. Hopefully some people out there are still holding on to
Still
theirs.
have it.
Yeah.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah. And then also in 1975 is when he appeared as the local lad in the film adaptation of Tommy.
Mhm.
And performed the song Pinball Wizard. Oh. Which I did not see the movie Tommy till quite a lot,
Yeah.
several years ago.
But
I had
it's interesting, but
it's wild.
Yeah.
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 But I went to like a local, I don't know if it was like a local like arcade or something, someplace that we would go occasionally, and they had a Tommy themed pinball
Ooh, nice.
machine, and the art, on the stand-up-y part where it puts like your score and stuff was Elton John,
cool.
big platforms, crazy glasses, bell-bottom pants.
The big winter hat with the pinball.
Like
on
standing
top.
on like a cart. It was a bit kind of cartoony, standing on top of a cartoon like pinball machine, in a way that like really emphasized the how high the platforms on the boots were and how wide the bell bottom of the pants was, that sort of thing. So I always thought Elton John was Tommy for the longest time.
Nope. That particular duty landed squarely on Roger Daltrey's shoulders.
Yeah. But I did not know that for the longest time. So then when I finally saw Tommy, and I'm like, that's not Elton John. I'm very confused. And Elton John appears in the movie, and I'm like, oh, there he is.
At least he didn't have to worry about any baked beans.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And then also during going into the second half of the 1970s, speaking of sports and soccer specifically, Elton became the chairman and director of the Watford Football Club in 1976. He'd been a fan of them since he was a wee lad. And he appointed the manager and invested a large number of money into them. And then he eventually sold the club in 87, but remained president. And then 10 years later, he bought the club back from the guy he had sold it to and once again became chairman and then stepped down again in 2002. But it continued as president. He no longer chairman, but as president. So he's still part owner of the club, although he's not a majority shareholder. And then he's held several concerts at their home stadium to raise money for the club. And he actually was part owner of a LA soccer team for a while there in the 70s. And then in 2014, the Watford team named part of the stadium the Sir Elton John stand.
Oh, cool.
So I guess if you want to go to Watford, see if he can get seats in the Elton John stand, I guess. I don't know. Well, he called the occasion one of the greatest joys of my life. But yeah, the 70s, from 70 to 76, they were very good if you were Elton Hercules John. He had 7 consecutive albums reach number one in the US, something that had never been accomplished before. All 6 of his albums made Rolling Stone all 6 of his albums would make Rolling Stone's 2003 list of the 500 greatest albums of all time, are from that period. With Goodbye Yellow Brick Road being the highest ranked at number 91. Between 72 and 76, he also had 6 singles reach number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Crazily enough, in November of 1977, Elton John announced that he would be retiring.
What? Say what? What you talking about there, Elton?
Bernie went on to work with some other people. And he retiring from performing, I should say, not retiring completely. He would still be making albums, although now he was going down to a measly 1 album per year. Such a slacker. He was now working with a new lyricist named Gary Osborne. That first album with Osborne was A Single Man in 1978, which produced no singles that made the top 20 in the US.
Kind of ironic.
Yeah.
When you take a certain someone out of the equation and it doesn't quite add up, I think you can kind of figure out you've done goofed up, boy. We need to make a course correction.
Yeah, he had he released Victim of Love, which was a disco influenced album. Apparently Queen did not pay attention to their predecessor. Which did not go over well. So in 79, he and Bernie reunited. And when their first
cue up the Peaches and Herb.
When their first full album Back Together was released in 83, which was Too Low for Zero. And then they released 21 at 33 the following year. Elton had his biggest hit in 4 years, Little Genie, which reached number 3 in the US. Although the lyrics on that were written by Gary Osborne, but still. But just the fact that he immediately went into this slump the minute that Bernie was no longer in the picture.
That should tell you something right there.
Yeah.
Although in that time he did help break the Iron Curtain, though. Because in 1979 he became one of the first Western artists to tour the Soviet Union and Israel. He played 8 concerts in the Soviet Union.
Cool.
So that's cool. So yeah. So the 80s were a thing.
Mixed bag. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, the 80s were a mixed bag for everybody.
Yeah.
Unless you were, like me and you were a little kid and you didn't care. But if you were an adult in the 80s,
I mean, exist.
yeah, the 80s were a thing. So he did get married to a woman. So that was not, that was not artistic license in Rocketman. He did get married. That marriage was a bad idea before the ink was dry on the marriage license.
Yeah.
So they got married on Valentine's Day of 1984. And the marriage lasted a whole 4 years. They got divorced in 1988, which how it lasted that long is beyond me.
Yeah. Was he on tour during any of the extent of this time?
I don't know about
or in
that,
studio, maybe that's how long.
I don't know about on tour, but he was on drugs.
Yeah. There's that. Yeah.
Very much on drugs. A lot of drugs. They got married in Australia. The Daily Australian, which presumably is some sort of newspaper in Australia at the time, this newspaper, the start of their article was Valentine's Day and Elton John was making one last attempt at being heterosexual.
Oh, jeez.
Oof. Oof.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So in 1976, when he did an interview with Rolling Stone, even, by then he and John Reed had broken up. And at the time, Elton was claiming he was bisexual. Which, being bisexual, totally valid thing. In this case, I think Elton was definitely fooling himself. And he's even acknowledged that sense, actually. But yeah, he met this woman, Renette, who was a sound engineer, and they knew each other for about a year and a half. He proposed to her over curry at an Indian restaurant. They got married the following week. And Elton said at the time, "I simply want to be a family man, and I'm not getting any younger." Granted, this is an Elton John wedding, so they can't do anything small, even with a week's notice. So things like oysters were flown in from New Zealand. The menu included lobsters, prawns, scallops, salmon, and a whole lot of alcohol. The bride wore a gown with a heart-shaped pendant containing 63 diamonds, a gift from her groom, sewn into the bodice. I guess if you're going to marry Elton John, get some diamonds out of it, I guess.
Go big or
Go big or go home.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the thing is, John Reed was the best man.
Oh
God. Oh.
That was already, that was a sign.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I'm surprised Reed didn't pull her aside and say, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's where the Kiss the Bride song kind of came from, but everything got flipped and hidden in between the lines.
Interpret how you will.
Yeah.
When they announced their divorce, they said that they genuinely intend to remain best of friends. That didn't happen. But yeah, in an interview with the Los Angeles Times in 1992, Elton said, and I quote this, "Even though I knew I was gay, I thought this woman was attractive and that being married would cure me of everything wrong in my life. When you take that amount of drugs and alcohol, you can't have any relationship." In a 1996 interview with the New Yorker, he recalled once guzzling 8 vodka martinis in 30 minutes, blacking out and awaking to be told he had gotten into a fist fight with John Reed. He was also heavily into using cocaine, eventually building up a habit that at worst saw him reportedly taking it every 4 minutes.
Oh, dang.
Yikes.
How-
He's
how-
lucky
how-
he still has a nose canal left. Oy,
Yeah.
oy,
He
oy.
said of his decision to marry Blowell, he told the New Yorker, "When you take a lot of drugs and you're out to lunch half the time, you think a change of scenery. I'll get another house. I'll move to another country." He elaborated more in a 2007 interview with the Sydney Morning Herald, where he explained, "A drug addict thinks like this. I've had enough boyfriends and that's not made me happy. So I'll have a wife. That will change everything. And I love Renette. She's a great girl. I really, really loved her. But it's one of the things I regret most in my life, hurting her." According to Renette, though, while they were on their honeymoon, he told her that the marriage was a bad idea, and supposedly she tried to commit suicide on the 3rd day of their honeymoon.
Ooh.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Yikes.
So, yeah. Not good. Not good.
No.
Not good for anybody
No.
involved.
No.
It's
It's just like, let's get it annulled and be done with it. No, we let it drag on for 4 years.
Yeah.
yeah. That seems like there were a lot of
Issues going
a lot
on.
of issues, a lot of bad choices in the mix, and just if you're not happy with or without something, fill in the blank, a relationship, a job, a car, whatever. If you're not happy without that, you're not going to be happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is just another one of those unfortunate things where, he did not have a loving childhood, and that can severely affect a person.
That is true.
And their perception of what love is, what a healthy relationship is like. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychoanalyst, but I've been in therapy long enough to learn a thing or two. And it's something that we've unfortunately seen with some, like I said, some other artists that we've talked about, where their childhood was really crappy and it affected them for their entire life. It turns them into not the healthiest adults. So, but in Elton's case, it was alcohol and drugs, and being a shopaholic, although he still really likes to shop, but I mean, the man can afford it. Eating disorders. He was bulimic for a time. I don't want to say that that's something that they bonded over, because that would be kind of morbid, because that's not something you bond over. But he was aware that Princess Diana was bulimic because he was also bulimic. So they were, I guess, kindred spirits in a way with that particular malady. So, but yeah, even though Bernie's back in the picture as far as being an artist is concerned, on the other personal side, the 80s, early 80s were not good to Elton, really, with that. And unfortunately, Renette was not very happy with the way that she was portrayed in Rocketman.
There always seems to have to be some sort of villain in these sorts of things. Like, same kind of thing happened in the Johnny Cash biopic Walk the Line with his first wife. They made her out to be this horrible, awful person, and even her kids were like, no, that wasn't. They were so for some reason that just has to be a thing.
And the thing is, I don't think Renette was actually portrayed as really a bad guy. She didn't really have enough screen time to really paint her one way or the other. To be honest with you, she just seems like, to me, she came off as someone who is aware that she is stuck in a marriage that should never have happened in the first place.
Right. That it was kind of
he was trying to put
a
band-aid over a gaping wound.
Right.
And she knows she can't fix it. So,
and nor should she have to. Like, no one should have to fix that sort of thing unless you are, a professional and this is what you do.
Yes,
but,
exactly. But it is what it is. But also, again, I think there was some artistic license there. And also, the way she remembers things and the way he probably remembers things, which, considering the amount of drugs he was on, and the fact that he remembers anything, who knows how accurate it is. So, whatever.
Well, as they say, I wasn't there.
Me neither. I did exist by 83, so
I was.
You weren't on their honeymoon with them.
No, and I was the wee tender age of 4, more interested in watching Star Wars.
Now 85 was Live Aid, which was down for the history books. So there's that. And then started cranking out some more music. So including the album Too Low for Zero, which includes the single I'm Still Standing, which is one of my favorite Elton John songs ever. And I guess that's why they call it the blues, which has Stevie Wonder playing the harmonica. And then 84 was the album Breaking Hearts.
Say so much on that one?
Yeah, okay. Breaking Hearts. Yep. So going into the late 80s, it was okay.
Starting to turn a corner.
Not amazing, but not terrible either. He did 5 sold out shows at Madison Square Garden in 1988. He auctioned off 2,000 pieces of his like memorabilia and stuff with Sotheby's, which raised $20 million. Not bad.
a good chunk of change.
Really. He did That's What Friends Are For with Dionne Warwick and Gladys Knight and Stevie Wonder, which helped raise funds for HIV and AIDS research. And then the 90s were also a thing. Again, good and bad. I mean, at this point, like, Elton's still releasing albums and songs and, you know, touring and doing this and the other thing, but he's really starting to branch out into not just cranking out studio albums and then going on tour and promoting said album. Like I said, I saw him, it wasn't until 2003, but that was like the second or third, I think, iteration of the face-to-face tour that he had started doing with Billy Joel in the early 90s. It was something they just decided to do, you know, and they're like, hey, this worked out really well, let's do it again sometime, and they've done it several times. But also in the early 90s is when Elton created the Elton John AIDS Foundation. Now, Elton has said that he considers himself very, very, very lucky that he did not manage to, that he did not contract HIV during the 80s. Having unprotected sex, because you make bad decisions when influenced by drugs and alcohol. And unfortunately in the 80s, we did not know as much about AIDS as we do now, and him being a gay man unfortunately put him in a higher risk group than what we know now. But after Freddie Mercury died in 91, and then Ryan White, who was actually from Indiana, who contracted it from a blood transfusion because he was a kid. So he was one of the first people to like become well known that was not, a gay adult man to be, and then people were like, oh, other people get this too from not just sex, and all the stigma that Ryan White had to put up with, up until his passing. But he and Elton had crossed paths at some point, and they became friends. So then when Ryan died in 1990 and then Freddie Mercury died the following year, he started leveraging his fame to help raise awareness and funds. So he founded the Elton John AIDS Foundation in 1992 to fund programs for prevention, for the elimination of prejudice and discrimination against those who are affected by it, provide services to people living with or at risk of contracting it. In 93, he began hosting his annual Academy Awards party, which is still going. It's one of the highest profile Oscar parties in Hollywood. He also hosts a white tie and tiara ball at his home in Berkshire. And since the foundation was created, they have raised over $60 million to support different HIV related programs in 55 different countries.
Awesome.
Yep. So, and that's, still a big part of his philanthropic work. He will throw his hat, in the ring for other things too, but the HIV/AIDS is the big one for him. So it's still going strong. So you can go to the website and then see what the foundation is up to. So in 92, he and Bernie were inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And then it was also when he released his album The One, which was his first album recorded entirely sober.
Oh gosh. I'm not laughing
because
at
he
that
went
fact.
to rehab and it worked.
Yes, it did. And good for him.
You can tell. And you can tell if you look at the cover of The One and look at some of the other past ones, he looks a lot healthier. I mean, if you look at the Sleeping with the Past cover, he did not look in the best of shape. Unless the angle and it being a black and white photo wasn't kind to him, but it was just like,
Yeah. So, yeah, he said, I was used to making records under the haze of alcohol and drugs, and here I was 100% sober, so it was tough. But I managed to come up with a good song, which was the title of the record. He's been sober ever since, though.
Which is great.
Going on, 30 years. 30 years sober, so, that's amazing.
yes.
And, that was a turning point for him, really, because he performed at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert at Wembley Stadium, where he did The Show Must Go On and then Bohemian Rhapsody. And then in 1983, he met a gentleman by the name of David Furnish, a former advertising executive, now a filmmaker, originally from Toronto, Canada.
Do you mean
he found himself a Canadian?
Did you mean 93?
93?
You said 83.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry, 93.
I was like, oh, wait, that was quite a jump, but yeah.
Yeah, no, 93. I'm like, oh, 83, that was the year born. No, wait, never mind. We're talking about the 90s. I gotta quit. I gotta get away from my birthday.
Yes.
I just want it to be all about me. 1994, he was inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. That was the quote from Axl Rose that I stumbled over at the very beginning. That was from the induction ceremony. And in 1994, in between all of his other things that kept him very, very busy and his shopping trips to Versace and all those things, he and Tim Rice wrote the songs for a little cartoon. You may have heard of it, called The Lion King.
And I admit, this was the first time I ever had known who Elton John was. Granted, I was 9.
If you're of a certain age, The Lion King probably is your introduction to Elton John.
Yes. And I freely admit this. I mean, I'm not as steeped in the Elton John lore as some, but yeah, I just, because I remember it because, we had Little Mermaid and we had Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, and that was like, the Howard Ashman, Alan Menken sort of run, but then, Howard Ashman sadly passed. And I think he did a little bit of work on Aladdin, if I remember correctly. Like, not a ton, but it was there. But then then Tim Rice came in, and then Disney decided, hey, let's have Elton John do this, and we get what we got in The Lion King, which we've gushed about The Lion King before. I certainly have, but the music in that movie just makes
we'll get to it eventually.
Yes,
so, yeah,
yes, we will. But yeah, it's like, I mean, the story of Lion King,
the best adaptation of Hamlet ever film.
Yes,
with lions. But yeah, I mean,
yes.
I love The Lion King, and it is in no small part due to the music. The music just enhances the the story. And
Yep.
Yeah, I love it, and it's wonderful.
But yeah, so it was a 3-2 in the Academy Awards that year for Best Original Song, because Elton John and Tim Rice were nominated for Can You Feel the Love Tonight, Circle of Life, and Hakuna Matata. So sorry to Look What Love Has Done and Make Up Your Mind from, I don't even know what one of these movies is. So yeah, it was a I'm sure that the other nominees were just like, what? Oh crap. But Can You Feel the Love Tonight did win. So giving Elton John his first Academy Award, will not be his last. In 1995, he was appointed Commander of the British Empire. And then in 1998, he was knighted by the Queen. Hence the name, or the title, Sir Elton John. He turned 50 in 1997. So he held a big to-do celebrating his birthday, where he came dressed as, in his words, Louis the, whichever Louis that is, Louis the 16th. I don't know my Roman numerals. Something like that. Louis the 14th, one of the Louis. We've all seen the picture. Odds are you've seen the picture. He's got the big powdered wig that's up to, up to.
Oh yeah,
it creates smoke. It releases smoke out of it. It's like, he's like, I want Louis the 14th on acid.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is the 14th. I was
the
looking.
14th. Yeah.
I was looking for the Roman numerals. Like, yep, that's 14. The I comes before the V, so that makes it
yes.
4.
Louis the 14th. Yes, Louis the 14th on acid. That's what he wanted. That's what he got. I mean, why not when you turn 50?
Right?
Yeah.
Some people go to Hawaii. Some people dressed as historical figures on acid.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Unfortunately, that summer was not very good for Elton, as his very, very good friend Gianni Versace was killed on the 15th of July. He was assassinated pretty much literally on the front steps of his house.
Oof.
Yep.
And he and Gianni, and really Donatella Versace too, the entire Versace family, he was good friends with the entire Versace clan, but he and Gianni were very, very good friends, like a brother to Elton. He performed at Gianni's. It wasn't a funeral, it was a memorial service, and he did like some hymn or something at that. But then 6 weeks later, Diana, Princess of Wales, dies in a car crash in Paris on the 31st of August.
Because if memory serves, I think even Diana was at Gianni Versace's memorial service too. Yeah.
Yep, she was. He worked with Bernie after being approached by Diana's brother about performing. And he's like, do I try to write something new? What do I do? And eventually he and Bernie worked and redid the lyrics to Candle in the Wind. to a version just for Diana, which he performed at her service at Westminster Abbey, the only time it's ever been performed and will ever be performed. As is they asked him to make sure it was never performed again, but he wouldn't want to because it wouldn't be appropriate anywhere else.
No.
Even at Diana's the concert that they did for, which would have been her 60th birthday or something like that.
Yeah, it was her 60th last year.
Yeah,
or
that he didn't perform it. That being said, it became huge as far as music is concerned, and became the biggest selling single of all time, selling 33 million copies globally, and raised 55 million pounds for Diana's charities.
I remember
I bought a copy.
Yeah, we had a copy. My sister Allison, I remember she was like 4 almost 4 because her birthday's in October. But yeah, she was obsessed with Princess Diana after she passed away. I don't really know why. I would have to ask her. But we, like, on the way to school, we played that song over it was Candle in the Wind and something about the way you look tonight.
Something about
I know.
I love that song.
So we had it on the cassette, and we put and we had the thing in the car where it would play it, replay it, so you didn't have to rewind it. And and we just
the good old auto reverse.
That thing. So I remember that song, and I actually did get sick of it. But we had to play it on the way to school because my little sister, she loved it, and she's in the car with us, so we just listened to it a lot. And I mean, it's sad. I was really sad when she passed away and all of that, but we needed something else to listen to in the car eventually. But then the Swan Princess soundtrack took over, and holy crap. But anyway, that's another story. But
at least that's not just one song.
Yes, that is true. But it was
I will take a soundtrack over a single song.
There was those 2 songs and she was obsessed and she loved it. I don't know. I don't know if she would be now, but that's the one thing I remember about that song is that we had to listen to it all the time. So he may have only performed it live once, but I heard it hundreds of times.
In 97 he would win a Tony for the Lion King musical on Broadway, winning the Tony for Best Original Score and a Grammy Award for Best Musical Show Album. So really, at this point, Elton just needs to win an Emmy for something, and he will have an EGOT. So somebody get him on TV. Give him a TV special.
Yes. Come on, Lin-Manuel Miranda, hook him up.
Yes.
The 2 of you together, you got this.
Yep.
Right?
Really? Except Lynn needs to win an Oscar to get his EGOT is the thing. So
well, they can help each other out. Let's just here. I'll help you with the Emmy. I'll help you with the Oscar. We're golden.
And then so by the early 2000s, still making music, but had decided by the early 2000s that if he had to do music videos, he didn't want to appear in them anymore. Because he didn't like appearing in his own music videos.
Well, can you blame him?
Now for videos like This Train Don't Stop Here Anymore, it's Justin Timberlake playing a young Elton John, or I Want Love, which appropriately enough stars Robert Downey Jr., whose birthday happens to be the day we're recording this. So.
Yes. Happy birthday, RDJ. You get a nod in the Elton.
Yes, you do.
Oh, he's worked some more in musicals. He did a concept album with Tim Rice for Disney's Aida.
Yes.
And
that's pretty decent, actually.
He's helped work on Billy Elliot the musical.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So which won 4 Laurence Olivier Awards. So not bad.
Nope.
He's tried to also get his spending slightly under control. So he admitted spending 30 million pounds. 30 million pounds in just under 2 years. It's an average of 1.5 million pounds a month. So, yeah. That was in the late 90s. So in 2001, he sold 20 cars at Christie's because he never had a chance to drive them because he was out of the country. So it included a 1993 Jaguar XJ220, several Ferraris, Rolls Royces, and Bentleys.
Oh my goodness.
In 2003, he sold the contents of his Holland Park home to modernize the decor. So ever since 2004, he's opened a shop called Elton's Closet where he sells his clothes and collectibles for charity, of course. The money doesn't go to him, it goes to the AIDS Foundation.
Nice.
Yeah. And then 2003, he announced his residency in Las Vegas because when you've done everything else, what's left but a residency in Vegas? So the show, The Red Piano, he was sharing the venue with Celine Dion. So while one of them was doing a run of shows, the other one would be resting. And then they would switch. So, he was named a Disney legend in 2006.
Nice.
Of course.
Yep.
And in the year before that, though, just a little bit before that, on the 21st of December 2005, he and David were among the first couples to form a civil partnership in the UK, which had just become legal that day.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then in March 2007, he performed at Madison Square Garden for the 60th time.
Dang.
For his 60th birthday.
Oh,
wow. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Sorry.
Now, Rachel, when did Road to El Dorado
that was
come out?
It was the late 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or was it early 2000s?
I figure we circle back around to some of his more like non-album studio album type stuff. So
no worries.
Yep. We're only in the 2007.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, okay, so 2010s, which is crazy. There was like, 2010s, we're finally into the decade before this one.
We're getting close.
Yeah. Christmas of 2010, he and David had their first baby. Their first son was born via surrogate, Zachary Jackson Levon Furnish John. And then their second son, Elijah Joseph Daniel Furnish John, was born the 11th of January 2013. Of course, 2012 was the Queen's Diamond Jubilee, and of course, you're not going to do any sort of Queen-related celebration without Sir Elton John. So, of course, he performed. I think he also performed at the Olympics, too. I think either during the opening or closing ceremonies.
I think you might be right.
I think so. I don't remember.
I can't remember if he was opening or closing ceremony. He may have been opening, because I think Paul McCartney was in the closing. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. That was 10 years ago.
That was forever ago.
Yeah, really. And then he and David were able to get legally married when same-sex marriage became legal in the UK. That became legal in March 2014, but they waited until the 21st of December so that they could get married on the same date as their civil partnership. So I guess so he and David didn't have to remember 2 anniversaries.
Makes sense.
Well,
yep. And then January of 2018, Elton announced that he was going to be retiring from touring and would soon embark on a 3-year farewell tour. Little did he know.
Little did we all know.
Little we all know. It's like January 2018. Like, I remember the announcement. I remember seeing on social media. I'm like, oh, okay, good for him. I wonder if this retirement will actually stick, unlike someone else who shall not be named. Cher. I went to her farewell tour, the first one. I'm just saying.
And how many has she had since then?
I don't know.
2
at least. At least 2. I was at the first one. But yeah, he said he wanted to retire so he could spend more time with his kids. Because obviously having 2 young ones at his age, kind of want to be around to see them grow up in the formative years.
Yeah, and that's a lot of work and very
yeah. I don't care who you are, kids are a lot of work. And of course, Rocketman was released in 2019 with Taron Egerton playing Elton. Rather well, I think. So, and Taron actually did all of the singing. No offense to Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody, but that's not Rami Malek singing.
No, it's not.
No.
But Rocketman did get Elton his second Oscar, once again for Best Original Song for I'm Gonna Love You Again, which got him and Bernie an Oscar together. So,
yep.
And then he released his first and only autobiography, Me. Which the audiobook is narrated by Taron Egerton.
By him. Oh, that's right, Taron Egerton, yeah.
Well, and John reading the prologue and the epilogue.
Yep.
So obviously with the global pandemic, that farewell Yellow Brick Road tour kind of had a big old stop. That did not stop him from being active during the pandemic, working on other people's music, not only his own. He played piano on Ozzy Osbourne's rock ballad Ordinary Man. He did a duet with Lady Gaga, Sign from Above, for her album Chromatica. He released a new album June of last year. It was actually recorded as his debut album all the way back in '68, but was shelved in favor of Empty Sky.
Oh wow.
He did a collaboration album called The Lockdown Sessions, which includes artists like Eddie Vedder and Miley Cyrus and Dua Lipa and Lil Nas X and Stevie Wonder and Stevie Nicks. His song with Dua Lipa, Cold Heart, which is her song and samples Sacrifice.
Kiss the Bride.
Yeah, was released on August of last year. And it peaked #1 in the UK in October of 2021, which made Elton's first UK #1 in 16 years. But it also made him the first solo artist to have a top 10 single in the UK in 6 different decades.
Wow.
And at 74 years, 7 months, and 14 days, he became the oldest artist to hit the top of the ARIA singles chart.
Nice.
And of course, he's playing piano in Miley Cyrus's cover of Nothing Else Matters on the Metallica Blacklist tribute album.
Yes. And that is such an awesome cover. Oh.
It's Lady Gaga, Elton John, and Yo-Yo Ma.
Yes.
Covering Metallica. It does not sound like it should work, but it does.
But it does. Yes.
Let's see. And then with a Christmas album that he a Christmas song he did with Ed Sheeran, which became his first Christmas #1, because he does not really do Christmas. He's got Step Into Christmas, which is one of my favorite Christmas songs ever. It's not a classic Christmas song.
No,
it was actually his first Christmas #1, his third #1 of 2021, and we're still in the middle of a global pandemic at this point. His 10th UK #1 overall, and making him joint #9 on the list of artists with the most #1 singles in the UK. On the UK singles chart. Tying him with Calvin Harris and Eminem.
Wow.
Since then, the farewell tour has recommenced. Although he did have to postpone a couple shows after testing positive for COVID. At one point, he made a full recovery. So at one point he developed pneumonia also too. So some shows have had to be rescheduled for that. But yeah, well, by the time the tour winds down next year, it'll be 2023, 5 years after the farewell tour was announced. So he's got 2 Oscars, 6 Grammys, a Tony, lots and lots of #1s. His music spans all sorts of genres. You can't really pin him down to a particular genre, because he sounds like everything and nothing all at once. You've got songs that sound a little country and then bluesy, and then you've got some that sound downright classical and rock and just
some reggae.
It's just reggae.
It's like he's like, okay, I want to try a little bit of everything, because some people they have their style that works for them and they stick with it, and that's fine. And then you have the people who are like, nope, I'm gonna do all the things, and it works great. So, and he's one of those that can do anything. If he wants to.
And then on top of that, he does. He's done some acting where most of the time he sounds like himself. He's playing himself. He's appeared on The Nanny. He was in the Spice World movie.
Oh, it's been so long since I've seen that. I need to go back and watch it just for the nostalgia.
Yeah. He's in the second Kingsman movie, Kingsman: The Golden Circle, which funnily enough stars Taron Egerton. So you have Taron Egerton in a movie with Elton John, and then a few years after that, he's suddenly playing Elton John.
Oh my gosh!
And then, of course, obviously, he's done music for various movies and stuff. Obviously, we talked about Romeo and Juliet already. The Lion King. Road to El Dorado was year 2000. Holly,
2000. That's what.
Okay.
It was.
All right. Yep.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, Romeo and Juliet, like we talked about before, those are all. I mean, he didn't write any original songs. Those are just the ones he'd already written.
Yeah.
But it works. Like Lion King and Road to El Dorado, he wrote original music for.
Yeah.
That might be one we want to review at some point. Road to El Dorado. It is so funny.
Good. So funny. So good.
Yeah. But it's just the fact that
and the soundtrack is amazing.
His music, just transcends to the point where like he can write really amazing original music like The Lion King, and it works. Or you can take something like Romeo and Juliet, where you're just taking existing Elton John music, and again, it works because his music it's so universal. I know Holly's been listening to Elton John probably nonstop. And I was all like, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna make myself a Spotify playlist of his entire catalog, which at this point is 34 albums, I think, or something like that.
Because the one I shared with you that had everything, but then
31 studio albums, 5 live albums, 22 compilations, 3 internet albums, 4 EPs, 9 soundtracks, 3 tribute albums, 4 collaboration albums, and 2 holiday albums.
Yeah. And then I accidentally, when I shared you my playlist, I had accidentally put in Julian Lennon and a couple Lady Gaga songs that kind of reminded me, little touch of Elton, but it ties together because she is godmother
to their sons.
To Elton's sons. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And so it works.
Yep. Yeah. So, but thankfully, because it was Elton's 75th birthday just last week, Spotify did some of the work for me, and they've created a 75 for 75. So it's a curated list of 75 Elton John albums or songs. So if you want just some highlights, without having to deal with 30 plus albums worth of music, you can go listen to that instead, which even there it's like 5+ hours of music. And there were several songs where I was like, oh yeah, I remember this one, this song's really good. So it's been a nice little trip down memory lane, because there's like so many. It's crazy that it's like, I can't believe I forgot that this was a song. I love this song. How did I forget it existed?
Well, just like one of the Elton John songs was used at the tail end of a Lethal Weapon movie. I want to say I think it was Healing Hands. I could be wrong though, but I know an Elton song was used at the end of Lethal Weapon 3.
Yeah. See, he's everywhere.
Yeah. Shows you how much I also watched Lethal Weapon movies.
That too. Hey, you like what you like.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just I love Elton John, and it's just he's an amazing artist. The catalog is just, he's definitely up there as far as goats when it comes to musicianship. And him and Bernie Taupin, to accomplish what they've accomplished in the last 50 plus years at this point is just absolutely crazy. I mean, you think about, Lennon and McCartney, and it's like, they were amazing together. And obviously, they were the heart and soul of the Beatles catalog. If it wasn't for them, the catalog would not exist. But they're a band. I was thinking about this the other day when I was in the car, and I was like, you got the Beatles, which wanted, in my mind, the greatest band of all time, and then Queen right after that. Which, I mean, the members of Queen, great songwriters in their own right. If you look at the Queen catalog, you don't tend to see the four names together credited on a lot of songs.
No.
They are great songwriters individually and really good about writing songs that they can do together as a band.
Yeah. Well, and part of that is toward the end, they were like, no, we're going to credit everybody.
Yeah.
No matter, who did the bulk of the writing. So there's that too. But I get it. There's a difference between, a group of people or and just one person writing.
Yeah. And in this case, two people working together who, even after all this time, still don't actually work together. They still do work in the same format where Elton will work on music, Bernie will work on lyrics. They will send them to each other. They don't actually sit down in the same room together and like hash out stuff.
So they just kind of say, okay, here are the words, here's the music, and mush it together, and there it is.
And it's worked. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it ain't broke.
Exactly.
So, but
somehow they're on the right wavelength with each other, and it's
it's one of those. It's one of those. You put them together, and it was purely by chance. This guy at this record label puts a freaking advertisement in a magazine, and this scraggly kid with the Buddy Holly glasses comes strolling in looking for work, and it just so happens that this other guy who likes to write poetry essentially came rolling in answering the same ad. And this
rest is history.
Yeah, this guy was just kind of throwing it out there to the universe, like, oh, I'll just put an ad in a magazine, newspaper, whatever. We'll see what happens. And happenstance, musician, lyricist, it was just
lightning struck,
and you'll never get something like that again. Absolutely ever. So absolutely crazy. And that's why we've spent 2 hours talking about Elton John's accomplishments, but as far as the music and stuff is concerned, it's not without Bernie. It's ever so much Bernie Taupin's. He needs a gold star. Right up there.
Or Bernie. I know Bernie's inducted into the Writers Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame needs to induct Bernie.
Yeah.
Under one of their categories.
Yeah.
Just
the fact that he's not in there is kind of dumb.
Exactly. I mean, don't get me started on Jan Warner and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've got a soapbox ready to go for that one. Trust me.
That's a conversation for another episode.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna get our soapboxes out to complain about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and
So, you got one too,
they're
Rachel?
not quite as bad as the Academy, but they're not necessarily in our good graces either.
No.
Yeah.
They are. It's the it's the different symptoms of the same problem.
Yeah.
Pretty
Basically.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that is for another day. But today we celebrate Sir Elton John, 75 years young, and keep rocking, good sir. Because
Yes.
But enjoy the
it.
retirement.
Oh well, yes, that
Yes.
too. Enjoy the retirement,
But if you still want to keep churning out music for us,
every once in a while, dash
Yep.
off a few lyrics, and you and Bernie just sort of,
Yeah.
throw it in the Dropbox.
I think
Just kidding.
as a musician, it's like I don't think you could ever really truly turn that off.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it's one thing, if you're like, if you're not necessarily writing your own music, but when you're someone who's actually like writing and creating your own catalog, you never really truly turn that off. And inspirational strike from whoever, as the boys get older, I'm sure that'll inspire things. And
I'm sure you'll keep a little notebook full of lyrics and stuff, and maybe he doesn't go on tour, but he's like, oh hey, here's a couple things I dashed off during while the boys were at soccer practice or whatever that is they do. But but we love him for various reasons, and that's what it is.
We will definitely get to Road to El Dorado and The Lion King.
Yes,
they're on the list.
Yes.
Yeah, I know I've talked about Lion King just in passing when we were talking about other things too, but yes, I want to gush about Lion King.
When we're talking about the Disney Renaissance, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't
miss that one. Yeah.
No, indeed. Anyway, well, if any of our listeners want to chime in about their favorite Elton John piece of work, whether it's music or his charitable work or a concert or any of the movies that he worked on, or just something in that realm, you can send us some feedback. Our email address is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also visit our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com, and that will have links to all of our social media where you can leave comments on Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. And we have a YouTube channel, and you can also help support us through Patreon or through our merch shop, or we're also on Ko-fi. I call it both because I don't know which one it is. And then
tomato.
Yeah, that's about what it is. And when you can download our podcast wherever it is you listen to podcasts, we're there. And as always, we thank you for listening. Thank you for your support and feedback, and just being out there and enjoying what we do. And hope we can make your week, day, whatever, just a little bit more enjoyable.
Alrighty then. With that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Belvedere saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Sally from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. The goodbye yellow brick road. Welcome to my society. You don't want me to sing, so I thought about maybe pulling a Shatner and just doing the dramatic reading of Rocketman. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
You have been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at the5ishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official 5ish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/5ishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at 5ishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.